I hate this. Okay, clean slate. Try that again. Welcome to another episode of Mixology and Mortgages with Hatchman. Today we're going to talk about the difference between FHA and conventional, which is basically like asking about the difference between shaken or stirred when it comes to your martini. FHA and conventional. I get this question a lot because there's a lot of misconceptions about what the difference is. A lot of people think that FHA is for first-time buyers only and that conventional you need 20% down. I'm gonna stop that right now. Today I wanna talk about the main differences between the two because ultimately it's gonna come down to your specific situation and preference. Which product will depend entirely up to you and your specific scenario. So let's get into some of the details when it comes to FHA as well as conventional, and then we're going to talk about the differences between a shaken or stirred martini, and I'm going to tell you which one I prefer, and we're going to make that one right here and now. FHA loan. We discussed it is it's a government loan. The FHA loan does have certain loan limits per county, and they are significantly less than the conventional loan. So depending on the type of loan that you're going to get and the price point where you're going to be at, that's going to factor in a lot based on the loan type. FHA can only go up to a certain amount depending on if it's a single family home or a duplex or even a threeplex, and it can only go up to a maximum of 4 units. So like a fourplex basically is the maximum you can do with an FHA. On a conventional loan, you've got a lot more options when it comes to the property type. Minimum down payment on an FHA loan is 3.5% down. 3.5% down on an FHA loan. So that allows you to save some of that money so you don't have to do a larger down payment. However, a conventional loan, if you are a first-time home buyer, you can get away with as little as 3% down. So save a 0.5%. Now, the key difference between the two is they're mostly credit score based, right? So if you have a low to mid credit score, 9 times out of 10, the FHA loan is the one that makes the most amount of sense. Here's why. The mortgage insurance amount that you pay specifically is based off of your credit score when it comes to a conventional loan. FHA, that's not the case. Doesn't matter if you have a 520 minimum credit score or an 800. Everybody pays the same amount for that monthly mortgage insurance amount. So if you have a really low credit score, typically the FHA loan is the better option because it's going to get you a lower monthly payment. We've talked about that before too. You don't care so much about the interest rate, you care about that monthly payment. What are you paying every month? That mortgage insurance piece, again, with FHA, credit score doesn't get factored into the amount that you pay. Conventional, on the other hand, if you have a lower credit score, be prepared to pay a higher premium. So if you do need to be in that higher price point, above the FHA loan limits, and you have a credit score that's less than 680, and you're gonna put less than 20% down, be prepared to pay a larger premium for that monthly mortgage insurance. Now, again, there's a lot more. You don't have to pay it monthly. There's upfront options. There's life of loan options. But again, for our situation today, what we're going to talk about those key differences. Conventional loans. The other main piece there is if you're not a first-time home buyer, meaning if you have owned a home in the last 3 years, then you are not a first-time home buyer. You cannot have owned a home within the past 3 years to be considered a first-time home buyer. So then the minimum down payment on a conventional loan becomes 5%, not 20%. A lot of people think it's 20. 5% is the minimum down payment for non-first-time home buyers on a conventional loan. And again, depending on your credit score, that's going to affect that mortgage insurance. The mortgage insurance premium is also affected by how many borrowers are on the loan. If it's you and your spouse, you're going to have a lower premium than if it was just you by yourself. So there's a lot that goes into it, but again, big key differences. The other one I want to talk about and just get it out there is the appraisal. There's a lot of listing agents and sellers that think that the FHA appraisal is inferior to the conventional one, that it's harder or that the value comes in lower. And that's also just false. We're gonna get that out of the way right now. It's not an inferior appraisal. Now, the FHA appraisal is going to point out health and safety items. So if there is an issue with the home that could affect your health or your safety, they're gonna call that out. But again, the value piece does not matter. The value on an appraisal, whether it's FHA or conventional, always comes down to the comparable sales in the area. So don't let an FHA offer scare you. Last home that I sold it to an FHA buyer. It was no appraisal, came in, no problem, because we had zero issues with the house and I knew what it was going to comp for. So don't let those things scare you. Guys, at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to your specific situation. For the most part, if you're looking for a low down situation and credit score is mid to even low, FHA typically is the way to go. Credit score is in the higher range, or if you've got you and your spouse also applying and your credit scores are both fairly good, conventional typically is gonna be the better way to go. But again, it's not always cut and dry. FHA also has shorter time frames if you've had a recent bankruptcy or foreclosure compared to the conventional loan. So a little bit looser on the guidelines. And the debt to income ratio, which we've also talked about in previous videos, you've got a higher leniency on FHA loans, meaning that your debt to income ratio can be higher and still get approved compared to the conventional loan, where they pretty much max out after, it can't be over 50% on a conventional. FHA can go over 50% all day. The real key is really you just gotta get in front of a loan officer. What I can do is I can show you the main differences. So you tell me your price point, your down payment, your monthly, and I can show you the two differences between which one makes the most amount of sense. Because again, at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to preference. Those are the main differences, guys. Now, let's talk cocktail. That's what you're really here for, right? The Martini is one of the most specific drink orders that you need to make when you go to a bar. If you go to a bar and just order a Martini, that's wrong. You have no idea what you're gonna get because there's so many different variations of it and so many different ways you can make it. You got to pick between the two spirits, right? Do you want a gin Martini or a vodka Martini? Do you want it shaken? Do you want it stirred? Do you want it wet? Do you want it dry? What does that even mean? So here's the differences, guys. Today I'm going to be making a gin cocktail, straight up stirred with lemon and olives, which is kind of unique because most of the time it's lemon or olives. And today we're gonna make it a little bit dirty too. Dirty just means we're putting olive brine in it. Key differences, we've talked about it before. A shaken cocktail, it's gonna get a little bit more diluted because you're breaking that ice up. Stirred, you're gonna be able to taste the spirit more. So for me, I prefer gin. It's a little bit more floral. To me, it has more flavor than vodka, so I really like gin in my martinis. And then the difference between wet and dry is how much vermouth is in it. So for me, I do like a very dry vermouth. We're gonna use just a little bit, because again, I like to taste my spirit. I like it straight up. And then this is kind of unique to me. This is just something that I like to do. I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon bitters to my martini because I think it just adds an extra layer. And then sticking with my local Queen Creek Olive Mill here, the Olive Mill, which is a local spot here in town. It is fantastic. They have this dirty martini mix, which is basically just olive brine, but this one they've infused with a little bit of lemon. So I've got that lemon and the olive, and then of course we're gonna add some actual olives to it as well. Let's get to it. First off, 2 ounces gin. This is Plymouth gin. I feel like I did another video where I was using this because I really like this gin. Good price, I mean not too expensive, but it's just got good flavor. You can really taste everything going on. Since we did 2 ounces of that, I'm just gonna do 1 ounce of the Dolan dry vermouth. This is a really good vermouth, great for martinis. Not too strong, but it still balances out the gin in such a phenomenal way. So we're gonna do 1 ounce of this bad boy. Then, just a couple dashes of these lemon bitters, nothing too crazy. The dirty martini mix with a little bit of lemon. This one, you really don't have a measurement for. I like my martinis pretty dirty, so we'll dash in there. Dirty, dirty. Gonna add ice, stir this up. A little bit more ice, there we go. Whew. We're stirring this martini, not shaking it. Don't want to dilute it. I want to be able to taste my gin. I want to be able to taste all my flavors without watering it down too much. So stir, stir, stir. These ones you typically need to stir a little bit longer to get it nice and cold. So just keep stirring till all that ice is in there. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, losing ice along the way. Till it's nice and chilled. Chill, chill, chill. You almost want a little bit of like condensation on the outside of the glass, nice and cold. And then, whoop, That goes straight into the martini glass. Oh, look at it, it's beautiful. So you'll notice, I don't know if you've ever shaken a martini before, it has a little bit of like frothiness to it because you're shaking it and you're breaking the ice. A stirred one is just clean. You can see the whole thing, it's beautiful. You can't not do an olive. And because I love olives and I like it a little extra dirty, I'm gonna do 2 olives, basically almost a filthy martini instead of a dirty one. And there we have it, the dual olive dirty martini. So, cheers. And as always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys have any other videos or any ideas you'd like to hear about, hit me up in the comments, and it was a pleasure. Talk to you guys later.